Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel State. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
We're with one another who's out and about in the mornings. We know each other's dogs. We know the cars in the neighborhood. And this morning I saw something that was rather unsettling. There was a car driving around, lingering around certain houses, stopping, turning around, making another loop. And I'd never seen this car before.
Okay. By the way, hello, everyone. Hello, Margo. How are you?
Well, we started with the wackos to begin with, didn't we?
Let me tell you what we're in the midst of. We're in the midst of Alyssa Cullors. I'll tell you who she is in a second. She's all verklempt because ICE has picked up illegals, okay? And they're not doing it for no reason in her neighborhood. And watch this libtard go on.
There were also several pickup trucks doing the same thing, lingering, turning around, stopping in front of houses that I know those not where that car belongs.
Oh, okay.
When I got back to my house,
notice the way leftists are. They determine who belongs where.
My work
right.
Day, I noticed that one of those cars was stopped in front of my house.
Oh my
which made
Jesus.
me nervous. We know, like I said, we know who's in our neighborhood. We all look out for each other. We're very close knit here. So this was not right with me. Something wasn't right. So I reached out to other neighbors, Emily, and asked her if
close knit, then she's complicit in harboring
she
illegals.
recognized this car.
Okay, I just have to do it. I just
and she did not. So Emily, pick it up from here.
This is the
Hi
left.
everybody. My name is Emily Ingebretson. So
Okay, I just can't. I can't. So these women are in everyone's business, and Alyssa Cullors, the wackadoodle with the white glasses, she really came up front and center and literally tried to obstruct ICE agents as they were
Picking up 3 Indian men at a house near hers. She sounds like Gladys Kravitz. If for those of you that don't know who Gladys, if people don't know who that is, it was the nosy neighbor in Bewitched.
Right. Well, I mean, from years ago, but I just lose touch every now and then with the way that leftist women are, because I'm not one and I never hang out with one. How would you like to be married to someone like that who's watching, literally watching everything that goes on in the neighborhood?
Well, here's the thing I have to say about that. How come she didn't know that they were illegal aliens?
I think
or
we're
whatever?
going to have to assume that she did.
I think we should.
I think it's called aiding and abetting. So here's what happened. So when it came to my attention that Allison, she was all verklempt about what was going on, I started to dig into her. Apparently she is working for a company, probably working with terrorists, actually. It's called World Learning Incorporated, and it works directly with the State Department. Guess what they do, Margo?
Well, I think we researched this lady together, didn't we? And she's the one that works with students around the world and gets them visas to go to the U.S. and back and forth.
Predominantly from terror-plagued countries. They really zero in on Gaza and Lebanon and Jordan and Tanzania, places where you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a literal terrorist.
Wow.
So we
did look into her. Now, son, if I'm not mistaken, this lady also gives scholarships for those people to come to America, and they can't be fully vetted if we don't know this information, if the government doesn't know where these people are coming from or what the background is, right?
Well, that's right. These are F1 and J1 students. We know damn good and well that they don't vet students, because we just found out at Georgetown, there's a high-powered Hamas leader, self-proclaimed member of Hamas, actually attending Georgetown right now. So how can you possibly state that? Now, one of our wonderful supporters dug into it, and his name's Tony. Thank you, Tony. Once we start to get onto this kind of stuff, we have lots of hands to do the work. This is what USAID gave her organization just in Lebanon, 93 million.
So the total of 242 million is the total taxpayer money spent, and 93 million just of that went to Lebanon?
Lebanon only. And
wow.
So we all know, I mean, a direct contractor with USAID, a direct contractor with the State Department. So this is one of those interlocutors that I talked about, this extra governmental, this NGO that's working outside of the purview of damn near anyone but the CIA, and they're bringing in foreign students.
And we know what happens when they get to our country.
Well, we've seen.
Yeah.
We've definitely seen it. Like I said, there's, been literal terrorists that had been apprehended, Georgetown U, there's a couple of others. But I mean, not only are they out calling for the death of Jews, they're actually plotting and planning to bring our country down and to kill people. That's not hyperbole.
That's insane. And here we are. This lady's in where, Durham? Is she in Durham?
She's in Durham, but I got to tell you, she just messed up. Her employer's got to be like, you dumb ass. Why did you raise a heckle? Because we're making sure as we speak right now that we're going to have their funding yanked. So ACLU denounced UNC Chapel Hill just because the chancellor there, I mean, I guess he softly indicated that he's going to cooperate with ICE.
Well, he should, as an employee of the state, I mean, with a board that overlooks them or directs them, they absolutely need to cooperate and be lawful. That's what you do. Why do you have a rule for students that say they have to be lawful if you're not going to be?
Right. And then the state has gone further, obviously, this, in making sure. I mean, the federal law is that you have to cooperate with ICE, but just to make sure, the Republicans passed a bill, you have to cooperate with ICE. So
that's right. But that was mostly with sheriffs. But they have campus police, which is the same. They get the same kind of recognition as any other police officer. So let's go.
Yeah. I mean, so ACLU is pissed. We've got 17 campuses and 17 auxiliaries of the state schools. And I mean, as a parent, when my kid's looking at colleges, I would already have assumed that they were going to cooperate with ICE and they would not harbor illegals, which could endanger everyone.
Well, here's the question I have. When do they say we're in a sanctuary city? Because that's coming next.
Do you mean unto themselves, like let's just say Duke or Meredith,
or Meredith or Chapel Hill?
Well, that's a state school. See,
right.
Meredith or Duke or Elon would be private. So I could see them doing it right before a state school.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're just going to wait and see.
Well,
it's a game of chess.
Well, it's a game of chess, but a lot of people aren't playing games.
Well, we're not playing games.
No, we're not playing games. We know exactly who to go to, exactly the congressmen, the U.S. congressmen who are on the committees up in
North Carolina congressmen.
That's right. And they're looking over agencies that are doing this. And we've got a straight line. And look, law and order is what people voted for. It's not like we don't have a mandate for that. It's very common sense stuff.
And that's one of the reasons why I think people don't take us. They don't know what we do behind the scenes. They don't take us for what we all know all the way around. Both of us have helped candidates win. We've both helped candidates win in office. And one particular congressman we know very well is going to be very interested in this information.
Actually, that's up to 3 today.
Yeah.
3 today. It is of and concerning them, and they ran on this issue and they mean business. The great news is that this isn't a political issue. For the left, it's a political issue. But for Democrats, the rank and file Democrat, they're ready for this, I think.
Well, everybody voted for a change in this country. It was overwhelming. And this is part of the change. We have to take our country back. We have to take these people out that are saying hateful things to Jewish students, or who are just committing what I would consider, hey, just going crazy on campuses and Harry.
Well, I mean, there's actually physical violence that's being done. There's we showed, a student saying, "We are Hamas," and we showed another one beating the hell out of a protester. These are people right here at Chapel Hill. So
right.
You're doing violence and you're not even from this country, or saying you're with Hamas, you need to get the hell out. I think that's like a no-brainer.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so in keeping with the spirit of that, Mark Harris and Chuck Edwards from your neck of the woods has put up a bill. And I like it. It's going to make sure that if you're an asylum seeker and you break the law in any way, the jig is up. Do you know about this bill?
I do. And actually, I really like it and support it. I have one question about it that's a little concerning for me. It has to do with South Africa. I can definitely see where the political parties in South Africa would try to incriminate the Boras or the Afrikaans to keep them from being able to get asylum. So, we have to watch that. I'm very, very glad they're doing it, but I don't want to see people who are truly being persecuted be convicted of something and lose the opportunity to save their life.
Speaking of Africa and the persecution, under Biden, as well as under Obama, but under Biden in particular, Afrikaners who were escaping persecution, who were Christian, who were Black Christian, actually, were turned down for asylum repeatedly over and over and over again. But you have folks from terror-stricken countries who could come here, full access, and if they're vetted at all, very lightly.
Yeah. So that's my only concern. I'm very proud of Mark and Chuck Edwards for doing that. And everybody knows I'm not a fan of his most of the time. But I do want to make sure that, people that really are fleeing for true asylum don't get penalized so they can't come to the U.S.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and I know asylum seekers who have come here many years ago, who are great Americans now and contribute to society. And so, right, it is a fine balance. But I'll tell you what, it's been really overused, and we're paying the price. Look at Europe. The rape, the child rape, the grooming that's done by Muslims who have come in, strict adherents of Islam, and they're not integrated into the society. They don't even actually have the same rights, believe it or not, as the Europeans, and they're able to get into these little gangs and get into these neighborhoods, these no-go zones, and they're able to do whatever they want. And now we're discovering in the UK that even they had the government hide what they were doing
and make excuses for it. That's the part that bothers me. I don't understand that. Instead of taking this child side of a kid that's been raped and groomed, you take the person who did it side.
Right, because it's, Islamophobia, and we're going to get to that in a second. But Islamophobia and that whole concept, it is a rhetorical handgun, if you will. It is a semantic weapon of war that actually keeps criminals able to perpetrate crimes in Europe, but not only there, in America too.
That's true. We're going to talk about that in detail, I'm sure.
We're going to get to it. So I thought this was interesting. I saw this yesterday. We're seeing an influx of people moving. I mean, we always kind of knew that, right? North Carolina.
Third most the third in line for places to move. Florida, I believe, is number 1, and Texas is number 2, or vice versa. And then North Carolina is number 3, and the places they're coming from are New York, Florida, and then South Carolina, and I can't remember the other 2, but Georgia, for one, those are where people are coming to North Carolina from. And the concern with that for me is, why are they coming here? Well, first of all, the taxes are lower.
You're very tuned in with Georgia. So tell me about some of the people you think may move here. Please, God, don't tell me it's disgruntled Dems, because that would really make me mad.
A lot of them are from Florida. My neighbors are just moved here from Florida. They moved here because they don't like DeSantis. They also moved because the property taxes here and the income taxes are lower than in those 2 states. So property taxes are high in Florida and in Georgia. And so moving here is like, it's a much lower property tax. Now, our income tax is going down. I don't know if you knew that. It's going down, I think, every other year.
4.75% right now. I'd love for it to be eradicated, but you simply
3.75 this year. This was the beginning of the year where they started up the new change, but it doesn't matter. The problem is that we're too cheap. Our state's cheap. Our real estate's cheap. Our taxes are cheap. Our schools are not good, but they are inexpensive relatively speaking. And so people are coming here in by droves, and most of them are Gen Zers. It's not a lot of elderly people or retirees. It's young people who are coming here for business opportunities, and mostly in the Research Triangle area.
Yeah, that would be my area. That would be my area. I mean, we're having unprecedented growth where I am, and so yeah, again, we have to make sure they vote right. I am not interested in people bringing their politics with them places. We have a huge problem with that already.
I want to give you a stat people don't know. There are more people in North Carolina with birth certificates from New York than there are from any bordering state combined.
Damn.
So more than Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia combined.
Wow.
So New York is hitting us hard because 1, we have great weather. 2, we have lower taxes. And three, you know, the truth of the matter is Southerners we don't talk about people getting under our skin often in person. And we didn't used to show our politics. It's becoming more and more acceptable. And also, I think another piece of it is we're the only state in the South with a Democrat governor, a Democrat lieutenant governor, an AG that's a Democrat. They see this as a pretty liberal state.
Yeah, most of our sheriffs, though, I believe it was 75 counties out of 100 are Republican. So we do, by and large, have law and order. Now, it is a complete disintegration in our urban areas where I live as well in Charlotte. But the disintegration pales in comparison to New York City. I mean, that place is a godforsaken shithole. And I used to live there. I lived there for 4 years. And I would go out, feel totally comfortable going on any of the trains, any of them, and then going out at night. But you just can't even do that there. You cannot have a quality way of life.
Well, a lot of people aren't moving just from New York City. Upstate New York is really expensive. If you grew up in a rural area, there's no way your income is going to keep up with the tax burden there. So those people, this is great weather, super cheap. They can sell their farms or their, rural house in a community, make a bunch of money, which they will make a bunch of money in Massachusetts and New York, and come down here and live a much better life.
I've lived in Boston. I've lived in New York, and yeah, I'm telling you, it's the childcare is cheaper and all that. But look, if you're coming down here and you're buying property, I think that's another interesting thing about North Carolina is that we're really dedicated to protecting property rights. So check out this bill. This is Biggs. Actually, let me go back. Who is on this? Oh, Biggs, Kyle Hall, Julia Howard, and Steve Tyson. So those are the reps that are doing this. But let me tell you about this bill. It's really an anti-squatter bill, but it allows for a really fast removal of squatters. I mean, you can get them within 24 hours. You do not have to go through the eviction court. Look, we've had illegals come here to Airbnbs or to people's property, illegals, and you have to take them to court. It is an onerous expense, and it's absolutely heartbreaking for the owners of private property to have to wait up until 90 days to boot squatters. Can you imagine if that happened to like a second property of yours, or if you went out of town?
It happened to us. It actually happened to we have a family farm out in the middle of rural North Carolina, very far away. And we actually had a squatter on our property, and we had the sheriff have to come out, and you have to, first of all, notice them. Then they have all this time to get out.
90 days, something like that. You have to pay.
He got off the property for like 2 days and then came back, and the process starts all over again.
Oh my God.
So, but people don't understand.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is if they see you physically leave and then you come back a week later, the process starts all over. It doesn't start where you left off. It starts from the very beginning.
Wow. I didn't realize that, but I read a couple of cases. I should have brought them up for you guys where, again, illegals will find out that there's an Airbnb at a certain address. I don't really know how you do that. But they'll park their ass there. And it is very time consuming and difficult to get them separated from your property. And oh, by the way, if they break a leg there or something happens, they can sue you for liability. Did you guys know that?
Yes. And I remember, I think it was last year, the case of a person, and I don't know if they were illegal or not, but they were in Durham. They overstayed their Airbnb. They got notice they were supposed to leave, and they said, no, we're not going. And it took them 90 days to get them out, and they lost revenue on that Airbnb.
Well, yeah. I mean, and again, if somebody falls, breaks their leg or whatever, and then you're actually the homeowner, it's incumbent upon you to hire a defense attorney to sue. I mean, wow.
It's crazy. It also makes you realize that North Carolina is behind the times in some of the things that we don't have in our laws. And this is one that, like, this has been going on for 3 years. We knew during COVID it was happening. People were doing it up here in these cabins. Now we're just now seeing our legislature pick it up.
Yeah, it's got to pass. I mean, look, this is a bipartisan thing. We obviously Republicans do not have the supermajority. I think this will pass. Crossover, by the way, crossover is a time when Mark and I are talking about all these bills. There is a point, I think it's March 5th this year, where all the bills from the House have to be crossed over to the Senate to be voted on. Now, a lot of the bills, for instance, constitutional carry, you'll notice that the Senate has a bill and the House has a bill, right? So they've got a parallel path to doing that. But a lot of these bills, like the squatter bill, for instance, if we don't push the legislators and get them to cross this over before May 5th, they have to do something, possibly, if we can get them to, called a PCS, or a committee substitute, where it's complicated, but they'll gut a bill on the Senate side maybe and put this in and then vote on that, right?
Which is what they did with some of the things when we moved the power to the auditor, and when that was actually a cut out bill.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they did it in one omnibus, but yeah. Right. So here's my point. I would rather not sweat that. I would rather get that to be taken up. This is a really, really important one. So
it's a super important one. And here's what you can do at home. You can write your North Carolina legislators and let them know that this is important to you and your community, because while it may not affect you, you may only have one property, it affects your community. It absolutely affects your community. If there is Airbnbs, if there's rentals, if there's vacant homes, even this
people on vacation. If you go on a 2-week trip to Europe or
cruise,
Canada or Disney, whatever, or a week, and you made a mistake on social media of putting up, wow, I cannot wait to take our Alaskan cruise next week. And I don't know, people are following you. By the way, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You'd be surprised. People, criminals are crafty.
Yeah, I honestly always have somebody stay at my house
with lots of guns.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason they stay at my house.
we love guns. We love the guns. We love them. Okay, so that's going on, and I saw something that the treasurer did today. They put up that I think is going to make you happy. At least is getting the ball rolling. Tell us what Brad. Wait a minute. Yes, Brad Briner, who's our state.
So this is all about Western North Carolina and getting interest-free loans for small businesses and getting people back to work, which we absolutely need. And I think one thing about this is some people just didn't get the word in time. So not only are they getting the money out for people, but they've extended the timeline to get the money to people, which I think is super important. So we're really happy to see that $100 million is getting handed out. They've extended the deadline, like I said, and they're trying to really just get people back to work, and mostly small businesses, because these are loans to get these small businesses. We have a significant amount of unemployment here in Western North Carolina, which we really want to remedy before the springtime, because spring is when tourism is what drives us. So if we can get these folks back on their feet and give them these interest-free loans, it's only going to help everybody in the state.
Let me ask you this. Is this measure a patchwork for the lag that we've seen in FEMA?
Well, it's not the FEMA part that's really caused the lag on this. The Commerce Department has, because they kept saying they ran out of SBA funds. And I find that really interesting that our governor hired the director of the SBA loans as his financial officer, even though he couldn't fill loans for the
possibly go wrong?
North Carolina.
What could possibly go wrong?
It has gone wrong. I'm really, really praying for the folks up here that these loans come through quickly and that they get back to business and they get enough money to get through what they need to get inventory, to get the people back on staff, because spring is coming. And honestly, if we can't pick up and move the ball by, I'd say April, get things really rolling in April, May, this summer's going to be rough.
Yeah, people need to skill up and people need to get going. So I'm very happy to see this. I'm very happy that it's being taken seriously, not only at the federal level, not the state level. So, Briner, if you're listening, thank you. Thank you
Very
for doing
much.
that.
Thank you.
And thank you for communicating. Okay. It's yeah. A lot of people
I'm going to give I wasn't here last week because I was in New York City. But I want to say that I want to give kudos to Dave Bullock and the auditor's office as state auditor, and to Brad Briner. They've been super transparent. They put their plans out there where we can all see them. They're really doing the job. And I really do appreciate that, especially as we watch what's going on with DOJ and the federal government, to see the Republicans in our state government start to be as transparent and put things out. It's very refreshing.
It is refreshing. And I know, again, this isn't a partisan issue. This is what government should be doing.
Absolutely.
So what government should not be doing and is really came to bear. I mean, the internet was frenzied yesterday with 60 Minutes, which came out on Sunday. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I'm just going to put up so they interviewed German government officials, and this is what they said.
Face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you're in the internet, if I...
Somebody in public.
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you're in the internet, if I insult you or a politician...
That sticks around forever.
Yeah.
No, you can't insult politicians.
Crime to insult.
Okay, so... so many people would be in jail right now. I mean, that have talked to me on a daily basis, right?
Oh, same. And, I think this is absolutely ludicrous that you cannot criticize your government. You cannot criticize a politician. And we live this in America. They just do it more subtly and more viciously than, well, maybe not as vicious as Germany. We're not going to, they might put you in jail.
Well, we know in the UK, there's an issue because you can get arrested for offending, criticizing someone, usually if they are Islamic. Okay, let me show you this.
You mentioned one question, something which later on call. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being arrested.
You're going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
Take you up to the police station.
Right.
Ask you, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, it's in a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets, Thomas?
I've got my keys.
He was arrested for making someone uncomfortable for a Facebook post. Watch this one. It's hard to understand the way these blokes talk, but just give it a whirl.
Oh, I got it. I'm sure,
I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because of something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media page.
Someone has been caused anxiety based on your social media post. And
repost. It was a repost.
Oh, okay.
Reposted. No.
Okay. All right. This is a demonstrable violation of First Amendment protections, but I'm going to show you.
But they're not in America. Otherwise, it is a but they're in Europe.
Yeah.
I'm going
to show you my arrest. So in November,
I was going to say, tell them what happened.
In November, I made a social media post. I went to a Harris Teeter. You all know I'm Jewish. And I saw a worker, been going there for 6 years, but I saw a worker dressed in a Hamas scarf. And I seen her before, and I went over and it was Halloween. And I said, is that a Halloween costume? No, Free Palestine. Talked to the manager. I said, look, I'm Jewish. I'm extremely uncomfortable with someone wearing a Hamas scarf that's handling food. Basically kicked me out of the store. Didn't want to hear a damn thing that I had to say. I went to customer service, went above her, didn't get any resolution. 3 days later, in the morning of Sunday, November the 1st or 2nd, I was arrested. And here is what that was like. Let me get it back. Okay. Come out. I'm being cuffed.
That occurred, I think, like 3 days ago. There was a post that you posted on social media, and due to the circumstances, that female felt threatened and harassed. So it does fall under the elements of cyber stalking.
I know the law well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is the charge that should be in the warrant.
But harassed wearing a keffiyeh in public.
I get it, but that's her religion. She can do that.
It's a keffiyeh, but a keffiyeh is very different from a hijab.
Right, and I understand.
It's a political statement.
I get that, but due to the
And by the way,
circumstances and the way she felt,
and I respect you, and I'm just saying, what I'm telling you though is that it's part of political speech is also
part of political speech in public. Now, less than a day late, first of all, I was arrested. I was fucking frog marched out in front of my neighbors, arrested in front of my children
in the morning
for a class 2 misdemeanor, no criminal record, class 2 misdemeanor. And by the way, the NCDOJ says you are never to arrest someone for that unless they're going to endanger someone. You're never to. You give them a citation, number one. Number two, you let them sign out on their own recognizances. I had $1,000 all cash bail.
Maximum.
They were out to get me. So let me tell you what this is. We have Harris Teeter, no apology, unapologetic.
So people that don't know, just let me say, Harris Teeter is part of Kroger.
Okay, I'll explain that. Harris Teeter, part of Kroger, the largest grocery store chain in America, wants to criminalize someone and get them back, a Jew, for complaining about anti-Semitism. And then we have the Holly Springs, North Carolina police that wants to criminalize, saying anything about Islam. So I have to tell you, we don't have a problem in Europe that's just located in Europe and frozen over there. It is here in America. Now, the next day, to her extreme credit, the DA dropped the charges because they are utter bullshit and a violation of First Amendment rights. I'm going to show you that statue. And I'm mad.
But before you do, Sloan, can we talk about one part of it that really isn't being brought up that needs to be talked about? It's not just the police department. The magistrate bears a lot of responsibility.
This is them and me.
3 of them.
Them and me.
3 big dudes and you're teeny Sloan.
I thought someone framed me for murder. This is an outrage. This could happen. Let me tell you something. Harris Teeter, if you don't know, it is Kroger. It's one of the biggest chains in North Carolina. Let's say, and we have a lot of rural counties here in North Carolina. So Margot, let's say that a black man, okay, same Kroger, same store, etc. And there's not another store in a 30-mile radius, right? Food desert. And he goes in one day and is treated very rudely by someone, complains to the manager, and they make up a lie that he
stole food.
Well, let's just say, let's keep it similar. Let's just say he posted online, I'm never going back there again or whatever. And then they go to the police and say, this man also said something sexual to the clerk. And then he was arrested and $1,000 bail on a weekend. He would have sat in jail, right? Anyone from a rural North Carolina, and I'm just saying it doesn't matter what color, but they do it because I'm Jewish. Should they ethnically target someone because they don't like their immutable characteristics? Mm-hmm. This is, in my opinion, racial targeting, unapologetically so by Harris Teeter.
They've never said a word to you, have they?
Never a damn word.
Wow.
They don't care. Their manager and a clerk, 2 of them involved. The police That black guy, he's the one that took the warrant out on me. I went to his Facebook page. Big fan of Malcolm X, who hates Jews and hates white women.
Wow.
So nothing, no apologies, nothing. We're 3 months down the road. Yeah, we're looking at our options. But I cannot sit here in silence because this is here.
It is here.
Now, we're different from Europe because our laws explicitly say that you're not allowed to do this. Okay. Let me tell you about the statute. First of all, these officers don't know about the First Amendment at all. They don't know, secondly, about the law in North Carolina at all. They said that I deliberately and willfully used my phone to harass someone. That's never, ever been in any fucking law in this country. That's what was written on the papers. So if I use something that sends something to them and says, I'm going to kill you, understandably, that's included in the law. If I communicate to someone repeatedly and harass them, that is a violation of the law. I put up a post that had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with this woman. It was about Harris Teeter. Also, and you know this as well as I do, let's talk about this, Margot. This law does not, let's talk about it. This law does not apply to any non-threatening activity to express political views or provide lawful information to others. For instance, at the time, Harris Teeter apparently allowed those wearing Hamas supporting scarves and saying Free Palestine to touch food and handle it. And the law should not get in the way of constitutionally protected behaviors, which, number one, is free speech.
Well, I think to start at the basic level, I cannot believe that you did not receive an apology from anyone.
Never.
And I think the second thing is
they're unrepentant.
I was going to say that they don't appear to care that they have violated your civil rights and created a scene for you. It's okay for them to do it, but they accused you of doing it, even though you didn't do it. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes complete sense. So I'm going to organize a boycott against Harris Teeter, and I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to spend a good year, 2 years. I'm going to drive their market share completely down. And you know, they will probably scream, "Oh, you're interfering with the business." Yeah, I am. You interfere with my life. You tried to ruin my life. You tried to take my freedom. And Harris Teeter will obviously say, "Well, it wasn't us. It was your manager."
That is them. The manager represents the business.
Let me tell you what the manager did. She acted as the key witness. The key witness in this.
Who didn't see anything.
That dog doesn't hunt. Let me show you the actual post that I made. Do you guys see this? Okay. Yeah. That's the post. Went to a Harris Teeter in Holly Springs and saw this Hamas sympathizer. She's wearing a keffiyeh and she said Free Palestine. Reasonable deduction. When I asked her why she's wearing the keffiyeh, the store manager told me to leave. So as the cops, why would you rely on the testimony of the store manager who could have been insulted by this and who I was actually talking about? So the only witness was the actual store manager. This is why I was arrested. You cannot see the face of this woman. I did not name this woman. You can tell this isn't even about the woman. It's about the corporate speech of Harris Teeter.
It's actually about the position of the company, Harris Teeter. It's the Harris Teeter and the manager made you leave because you asked a question.
That's right. Did not like it. I explained to her that I was Jewish and that really insulted her. So look, the cops know who I am. I'm a public figure. I've complained about neo-Nazis sending me hate mail for years. So they do nothing about that. But the minute a Jew complains about someone supporting, she feels like it's making her uncomfortable in a store because of anti-Semitism, that becomes a crime. it becomes a crime to complain about somebody if they think they're Islamic. And you heard that. You heard that.
You're not allowed to feel uncomfortable.
You heard the cops say that the right of that person trumps me, a Jew. It could be you, a Christian, me, and as an American. Now I found out this is not an American. So this is a foreign citizen, okay, who has more rights than me.
That is really sad.
Holly Springs, North Carolina.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
They're not.
What's interesting, though, is perusing the Holly Springs social media sites. It's okay for their lawyer to complain about Best Buy.
Well, the lawyer for Holly Springs was trolling Trump supporters, especially women, and has terrible things to say. So perhaps
sounds like they have an issue in that department.
So if you are a Jew or you are an American living in Holly Springs and you dare to complain, this could happen to you.
Or a woman or a Trump supporter. You forgot those two.
Yeah. It could be anything, Margot, because
I know.
Here's where they got their probable cause. From my ex, they asked me they didn't ask me anything. So they took to my ex feed to find probable cause. And you guys have seen my ex feed. It's not for everyone.
But your job, literally, your mission.
That's right. I'm a journalist.
Is to ferret out and expose Hamas and Jewish anti-Semitism.
Literally paid for it. Literally, that's what I do on campus. I've taken a picture, you guys, of at least 200 people in keffiyehs over the last 3 years. I think maybe 4 or 5 of them happen to be Arab. Most of them are progressive white women, or to be honest with you, gay guys. It's very rare. And this particular woman, I found out, is from Egypt. Do you know what happens to women who wear a keffiyeh as a hijab in Egypt?
No.
Bad things. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
So it's illegal there?
It is.
But you can come here and wear it, and we're not supposed to be offended.
That's right. She can have political speech. I can't as an American. This is an outrage. Everyone should be outraged.
I am outraged for you, Sloan.
Well, be outraged and worried, everyone. This is a rogue police department who has not said boo. Now, the Democrat DA in Wake County personally called me within 20 hours to say, yeah, this is ridiculous, and we're dropping it. I've instructed them to drop it. Now, we have a Republican rep who is this is her district, by the name of Erin Paré. She stayed silent on it as well. Because if I found out about it, I would be pissed.
Well, I'm just going to say this. It's not an excuse by any stretch, but Erin Paré is not exactly the brightest light bulb I've ever met. But more than that, it doesn't affect her. She's not Jewish. She doesn't get it. I didn't get it until I didn't understand what this meant. It should matter to everyone. Don't get me wrong. She should step up more than anyone because like you've said to me 100 times, they come for the Saturday people first, and then they come for the Sunday people.
But yeah, they do. They do. But let's look at it this way. A foreigner with a different religion can say that anything offended them, and your ass is going to be in jail. No questions asked. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. And the people that put the things in motion are the manager and a foreign employee.
And the manager had to have lied because she was not there when you approached the woman. You had to go to the front office to talk to her. So there's blatant
We'll
lies.
get to the bottom of it. But I would be remiss and I would not be doing my job if I didn't come clean about this and talk about this. Obviously, especially now. So
especially all that we're seeing now in Europe.
Yeah, we have to take note. And this doesn't only happen, this way. I've had neo-Nazis actually file a false criminal charge on me 2 years ago, right? So there's by the way, they've changed the cyber stalking bill now so that you can't easily do that.
Well,
but it's done, right?
I got cyber stalking charges on me for politically rallying my neighborhood to keep a drug clinic from being in my neighborhood. They were expunged and dismissed, but what we're both trying to say is the laws are weaponized.
Right, but by foreign citizens, and to silence critique of Islam and to punish Jews, that's first of all, we've already dealt with that. We want to put that on a shelf. So this is special and we're going to deal with it. But you're right. Let's get to the other ones. I have heard of people who are extremely petty, who will use this cyber stalking charge when let's say that you're calling something out, and they attack you, and then you defend yourself, and then they go to a magistrate.
I've seen it a lot.
We have to change that. We have to change civil lawsuits. Do you know that you can sue? I mean, you can sue damn near anyone, but you can get somebody to take your case pro bono, and they can make up some shit that you said that actually was true, but it isn't actually true, and then make you spend copious amounts of money, or try to put you out that way and try to silence you.
I certainly do.
I think that's the weirdest thing. But look,
I just must say, my lawyer's not pro bono. It's for anybody that's watching this.
Doesn't matter. They're damn good. So let's go into the anti-SLAPP bill. Tell us what. Okay, so how many states have this? I think
there's the predominant ones are California, Texas, and Georgia.
Okay,
and I think after looking and reviewing them all, Texas has the best one.
Okay, so this is a bill. Here's what happens. If I want to file a frivolous lawsuit or do something like this to silence people, because this is why they did it to me. They wanted me to be silent, and they wanted me to pay, right? And they wanted to besmirch me and take away my freedom. But anyway, in this Texas bill, if you do that and it's found that you're doing it on bullshit premises to shut someone up, you will pay bigly. And I'm a journalist. So people have done it. And this is the reason why they do it, is because you write something that's factual and they don't like it, and they try to do stuff legally to you. It does happen all the time. I know Gerald, we have a friend, I think it happened to him 19 times. And it's funny, this is a funny story. So Gerald called me, saw my mugshot, gave me a call, and he goes, do you know that
Gerald runs the beat, for those of you that don't know.
NC beat. And he goes, this happened 19 times. He defends himself. He goes, yeah, at this point, I actually go around and teach the judges about this. He goes 19 times. And he goes, and I'm a black man, and I've actually been in jail before, but I've had 19 charges and never been arrested. And he goes, and your ass gets arrested and cuffed and maximum bail? I'm like, Gerald, here's what you need to do. I need to get you a kippah, a yarmulke to wear, because the next time your ass will go to jail and you can sue.
That's not funny, but it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, you got to add light on it. I mean,
absolutely.
My family has been through it. My children have been through a lot. All the parents in my school knew.
I was there.
And they were there.
Yeah, I was there, and I felt it through everything that you went through. It was heartbreaking, honestly, to see someone who has done so much for its good for your community be put in a position where they punish you for it.
Well, they will pay. That's all.
Well, let's get back to the anti-SLAPP bill for a second, because I do have one thing to say about that. There's a possibility that North Carolina will be bringing forth an anti-SLAPP bill, and when that comes up, we'll bring it back to you. And the most important thing you can do is go to your county commissioners and ask them to pass a resolution in support of this bill, because it does affect. What it really is important about this bill is not just the fact that it'll stop all the monotonous lawsuits that just because of he said, she said, and you don't like what I said. It will also take all these things out of the court system, which costs a lot of time and money. So it's important for not just the people that are affected by it, but the people the true victims who don't get their day in court because of frivolous BS like this.
There are a lot of savvy people that know, let's say, and I've seen this happen. Someone has a fight with their neighbor, and I'll fix him. I'll go down there and get a restraining order on him. And what happens is that, if you're sitting in there in that court and you're like a domestic violence judge, or you're like a judge or whatever, and someone seems convincing, the first time you go in, you get it what's called ex parte. That means if I'm mad at my neighbor, they're not there to defend themselves. So they usually give that. And then you have to come back in, I think, 7 days. But that person has to hire a lawyer to defend. And by the way, it may be legitimate. I mean, they may have threatened to hit you with a garden hoe. So, or take a chainsaw to you. That's legitimate. But when they're not, somebody has to hire a lawyer. Somebody has to take the day off work. Somebody has to go through mental anguish. Somebody has to. Then this bill would make it so that when people do that, they're punished.
For frivolous lawsuits.
Many people game the system, especially people that opt into politics. They can do that. People from foreign nations, they know how to milk the system and use it and weaponize it against American citizens. So there ought to be a cost for that on them.
I agree. And I'd be willing to go as far as to say maybe NC Political Tea together, we should help them craft this bill to look like that Texas bill. And let's follow it through the legislature and see what we can do.
I think that'd be great. And I know a lot of journalists would back this because, there have been journalists on I can't imagine, but I'm sure there have been journalists on the left who have covered things, and politicians have said, I'm going to sue you, knowing they're printing the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the journalist doesn't have any money.
Yeah. I don't think it's just about journalists. Petty bullshit that goes on in politics does not belong in a courtroom. If you are that kind of person, you're weak. You can't take the truth because unless it's a true lie.
Yeah. Well, I just
confront that person like the German people said.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's actually, you're right. It's taking that same attitude from those German lawmakers. And it's I hate to say weaponizing so much, but it's weaponizing the legal system. And when you're the moving party on this, you do it for free.
That's right. So
anti-slap bill, you're watching this tonight, but we're at CPAC tonight. So we're not actually live. But listen, I put my feed for the first time. Actually, Margot, this is Margot's Twitter handle. This is mine. So do follow for everything. I'm going to photobomb our feed and just kind of put everyone we meet.
We're going to try to do something on Thursday night, but don't count on it because what we'll try to do is get some interviews for the next week.
Yeah, no telling what we're going to do.
I know there's going to be plenty of J6ers there. They're coming to be recognized and ask for help. And I know several veterans groups that are going to be there. I know some politicians that are going to be there. So we'll see a lot of North Carolinians that are going to be there. We're going to have a good time.
We're going to have a great time. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Remember, share this with 10 people. Our viewership has been out of sight. I'm really kind of proud of it.
We're moving up. We know we set a goal to do 10 podcasts. We've exceeded that goal and we've grown our following and we continue to grow our following.
That's right. I remember we said, look, we're going to do 10 just for the hell of it. And people are dying to see the next episode and are sharing it. And it's all because of you guys. So thank you very much. And we will see you either Thursday, okay, or not. We'll either have a rerun on Thursday or we'll see you fresh on Tuesday. All right. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.